Hello everybody, it's Don once again, and welcome to Gold Wingnut Live. Today's broadcast, we're going to take a little different track than usual. We're going to talk about the fire assessment. I've been running behind this morning trying to get information put together in something that makes good sense, because I'll be honest with you, it's confusing. It is very confusing. There's a lot of data, a lot of information that's associated with this. And one of the things I need is my glasses. My goodness. It's been a heck of a morning. All right. So, let's see. Do we got any questions to start with? People are coming back. Warminster, Pennsylvania. Oh, wow. Okay, Rich. Heading back to their hammock at Finney House. It's Judy. Barry says, thank you for the update. All right. Venice, Florida. Wow. Okay. So, what do you say we get started? I guess the first question is, can you hear me? Because I should be, yep. I think I'm live. I think I've pressed all the right buttons today. You never know. It's crazy technology. I'll wait till I hear somebody say they hear me. Oh, okay, we got some responses. All right, and now everybody's going to respond. Thanks. Yep. All right. We got a bunch of comedians on. We got 64 people. So, if you are joining me, Daryl, in Darlin's Ice Cream, David asks, is Darlin's ice cream allowed on your diet? Anything's allowed. Moderation is the key. But I have abstained for the last 3 months on the ice cream. But I have relented a little bit on the white chocolate macadamia nut cookies that they have. They are pretty awesome. Estelle does a great job on her baking there. All right. So, let's go ahead. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Victoria. We'll go ahead and get started with the puzzle. So, it's, as I said, an interesting situation. I have spent, I can literally say years, studying the Sumter County budget, and I've spent the last 2 years dealing with the whole fire thing in an unofficial capacity for the last 2 months, unfortunately, but we'll get to that, maybe. Anyway, so let's see if we can make this PowerPoint work. So we need to have a brief history on how we got here. Victoria Eastport Hotel is coming along slowly. It is, very slowly. They have not put a single block in the ground. All right. So how did we get here? A couple of years ago, we had issues with ambulance response time. We had AMR, a private company, running 6 to 7 ambulances in Sumter County, and it was a for-profit venture. Not a bad thing, but it didn't provide the necessary service. They had to make money, is the bottom line. So they only staffed and ran enough ambulances that they could continue to make money. Unfortunately, we paid for that with response times, 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes 2 hours. There was an incident with my mom who took a fall, and I experienced it firsthand. It's very frustrating. On the plus side, where we are now, we've gone from 6 ambulances for profit that between the 2 fire departments, we have 18 ambulances readily available, and response time is anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to get an ambulance. Sometimes it's quicker. It just depends on where you happen to be. I live very close to Station 45. If I needed an ambulance, before I hit the ground, I'd probably have an ambulance here. They're very quick, and we got a lot of good firefighters, both in Sumter County and in the village's public safety department. So ambulance response time was the driving factor. Another driving factor was different service levels between the two fire departments, and it was coming from one funding source. So everybody's paying the same amount, basically. We'll get to that. But everybody's paying the same amount, and some people are getting higher level of service than others. So that really didn't work well. So there was a need to split the two fire departments. So the first attempt was an independent fire district, and it was put up to a vote, and it failed. It failed by a slim margin, but it failed nonetheless, partially due to misinformation that was being put out by those that opposed it, partially also due to a lack of information and a lack of commitment to anything between the district government and Board of County Commissioners. Nobody wanted to say that this is what's going to happen, and these were what we think are going to be the numbers. VPSD had some good numbers, but they couldn't say what the county was going to do, and the county wouldn't say what they would do. They could have said, this is our intent, but that was not the decision that was made by the Board of County Commissioners. I didn't agree with it. So that didn't work well for us. So the BOCC, Board of County Commissioners, created the Dependent Fire District. So now they can make their own budget decisions, but the final approval comes from the Board of County Commissioners. They have more limited powers than an independent district. So things like a fire assessment, they can desire to levy one, but they have to go back to the Board of County Commissioners to get the approval to do that. That power wasn't vested in them as a dependent district. There were some other minor things, but it was kind of a good checks and balance. It's a good balance. There was a very positive side, I will say. I initially supported the independent fire district. I did. I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong because I did not fully understand the impact it would have had on the Sumter County Fire Department. It would have destroyed it financially. There's no way it could have operated as an independent district from the county. As an independent district, it would receive no county funding. It would have to be funded itself, and there was really no way to do that that was feasible. So in that respect, hey, I'm glad it didn't pass. In hindsight, of course, we all know hindsight's 20/20. All right. So at the Board of County Commissioner meeting, there was a lot of things said. People talked for 3 hours last Tuesday. Lots of good stories, lots of good concerns. Some misinformation were put out. The biggest one, it was a plot to get more businesses into the villages. No, it's not. Okay, that's not why there's a difference in cost for the businesses inside and outside. There's a very limited amount of commercial real estate within the village's public safety district boundaries. So trying to drag, lightning storm coming, that's great. So wanting to drag more businesses in really didn't serve a whole lot. It's just a false thought. The developer was getting rich off the fire district split. No. Okay, the fire district is not run by the developer. It is run by the district supervisors that were initially appointed by the Board of County Commissioners, and some of them are coming up for election in November. And if I remember, the last time I looked, they were all running unopposed. So all the people that were like, well, they're picks from the developer and all that, nobody wants to stand up and nobody wants to stand up and be a part of the solution. They want to be complaining. So the developer doesn't get rich off this. The developer doesn't make anything off the fire departments. Now, okay, you know what? They do benefit from it, because there is a great benefit to them saying that they have a good fire department that is responsive and has a low tax level. Okay, but from a business standpoint, it really didn't impact the developer, because any taxes that are levied, they just pass on to their customers. It's just a crazy notion, and it has no basis in fact. VPSD can take over Sumter County Fire EMS equipment. That was a statement that somebody made. That Sumter County's buying equipment, and the villagers can come in and annex the land into the village's public safety dependent district, and then they get all the equipment. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. And honestly, where the fire stations are, they're basically nowhere near where the villages is looking to expand anytime in the foreseeable future. I look at maps and things, and the guy who puts together the maps that I use for my videos, Bill, he does a great job. He's very insightful. He knows what to look for also. So between the two of us, we dig and we find quite a bit. But they're not going to buy up the fire station. It's just not going to happen. As the villages expands, it has to continue to add its own fire stations. People are paying twice for fire service. No. You're either in one fire district or the other, and you're only going to pay for the one directly. And we'll get to that towards the end, because we all get to pay no matter what. This one was amazing. Sumter County was fudging the numbers now or in the past, to make it look something like that. And there were some that were saying that, they're hiding things and that, and they're not. The budget is very open. You can see down to the last man how much these firefighters are making. They don't have names, but every cost is broken out. It's literally dozens of pages in the budget. It's crazy detailed. Folks, I'm going to get to everybody's questions when we get done with this. So we're about halfway through. So why are the numbers different? Now there's big differences between the two residentials. Ours is about $320 in the village's public safety dependent district, and it's about $353, I think, for residents in the Sumter County Fire and EMS district. But the businesses, there's a huge difference. Huge. It was brought up that the Walmart on 466 is going to pay about $5,000 in a fire fee, and the Walmart at Bushnell, right there at the interstate, pays $45,000, and it's a smaller store. You're right, and there's a reason for that. Okay, the budgets are similar. Okay, the total budget for VPSD is about $30 million. Okay, Sumter County Fire EMS, almost $23 million. So similar in size. Okay, similar in sizes of equipment. They both have 9 stations right now. VPSD, though, has more people, more ambulances, and a higher level of service. That's why it's got a greater cost. Okay? But it's the other factors that come involved. The service area. Look at the service area. 9 stations in the blue area, 9 stations in the red area. The red area is about 4 times the size, maybe 5 times the size of the red area. So they have more challenges for operational. It definitely impacts their response time. They have different goals. VPSD wants to have a fire station within 2.5 miles of every house. Sumter County Fire EMS, they're not nearly that well or that closely spaced. Some of the areas take 10, 15 minutes just to get a fire truck to the property. So it's a big difference in service areas. And the population served is also extremely different. VPSD services 65,000 homes, as well as 500 condos, 10 multifamily units, for a total of 70,000 properties. So the rest of the properties are business properties, vacant land, agriculture. There's a whole breakout in the VPSD budget. So Sumter County Fire EMS services about 20,000 properties or homes. Big difference. So you've got basically less than a third of the homes funding similar budgets. So that becomes a problem, It also has more business properties, relatively small number of business properties in the Village's Public Safety Dependent District, but there is a lot more in Sumter County. Most of the big businesses in the county are located outside of the villages. It also has a tremendous amount of agricultural land, and municipal properties, both of which can't be taxed, or they have special taxing rules, and pretty much exempts them from this. But it's really about boiling the frog. We've all heard the story about, you put a frog in a pot of water, put it on the stove, turn on the heat, raise the temperature slowly, frog never knows he's cooked. Well, that's what's happened to Sumter County. So this is a part where there's people here in Sumter County, if you're watching, I'm just trying to be straight up and honest with you, This is what's happened. I have no bias either way. As a county commissioner, my job is to take care of everybody in the county. This is just reality, The Sumter County tax base is about $22.25 billion of taxable properties, It's a lot of money. It goes up every year quite a bit, Of that, the VPSD tax base is about $18.5 billion. So 18.5 out of $22.25 billion, or 82.6% of the taxable properties or taxable property value is within the VPSD dependent district. Sumter County, it's only $3.8 billion. Big difference, really big difference, 17%. And it's because of these differences. And you've got a tax base of about $4 billion and a tax base of $18 billion paying very similar sized budgets. And because of the similarity, because of that, you got less people paying the bill. They got to pay a bigger chunk of it. And that's what's happening. And for, the business community, they represent a bigger portion of the service that's provided by the fire and EMS system in Sumter County than in the villages. We'll move on to that. So there's a thing called readiness and availability and demand. Readiness availability is trucks sitting in the station right now. These guys are, rolling hoses, testing fire equipment, cleaning the truck, maybe sleeping, maybe relaxing, working out, whatever. That's readiness time. Personally, I wish that was 99% of their cost, but it's only about 70% of the cost. The reason I say if it was 99%, that means that everybody's safe and nobody needs their services, and that would be great. But that's not the case. I live just down the street from 45, and I can hear the trucks go by frequently. during the storms the last couple of days. It seemed like they were rolling every time you turn around. Not a good thing, car accidents, what have you, medical emergencies. Very small portion of what they do in either the county or the villages is actual firefighting. Most of it is non-fire services, emergency medical services, hazmat spills, car accidents, what have you. So there's a lot of things that they do. A very, very versatile group of men and women working for our fire departments, and God help them, they got a tough job. I can't imagine the majority of their work. I know on the fire side, in the Navy on a submarine, everybody's a firefighter. So we always got firefighting training every 6 months to a year. And you put on those heavy suits, the firefighting ensembles and the air masks and the tanks, and you start lugging around a couple 100 pounds of hose, you're exhausted in no time flat. But anyway, so readiness, availability, and then demand is the other 30%. Okay? So for residential readiness, there's a fee of $239.14. That's what every residential unit pays. Okay? And then the demand portion of it is based on the demand cost and the percentage of the services that are provided to residents. And it's like 74% of the cost are placed on the residents, and the rest of it is placed on the businesses. Okay? And then there's also a millage rate tax, and it's really small. It works out to be about $2.72 per thousand, per $100,000. So if you got a $500,000 house, you got what, $13, $14 worth of additional tax due to property values. Relatively small. It's almost insignificant. They're only looking at raising about $500,000. Okay. For businesses, the readiness is based on an equivalent residential unit, ERU. And that ERU is based on either 1,714 square feet or 1 acre. So if it's an empty lot, it's based on the acreage. So if you have 10 acres, it's 10 ERUs that you're going to be charged for. If your building is 17,000 square feet, that's 10 ERUs. That's how they do it. If it's a 3,500 square foot building, it's 2 ERUs. 3,500 square foot for a business is really not that big. For a restaurant, it's good size, but for most businesses, it's not. Okay, and then the demand is based on the cost and the percentage of the calls for the different type of facilities. So, for example, nursing homes, they do a lot of calls. About 10% of the calls for Villages Public Safety is to these nursing homes for lift assist. Don't get me started. What are they getting paid for? They thought they were there to lift the people up if they fell. But no, they don't do anything. They just call the fire department and then they bill the insurance. But anyway, so that number varies. Mind you, you got this big number of almost, the better part of $30 million that's spread out over 70,000 properties within the Village Public Safety Dependent District. When you start chopping things up that small, the numbers get a lot smaller. Okay. They also pay the MSTU. So the MSBU, which is the Readiness and Availability, Metropolitan Service Business Unit, is a fixed rate, and it cannot be used for advanced life support but it can be used for fire services and basic life support, but not advanced life support or transport services. That comes separately. So we're just talking about the firefighting and all that. On the Sumter County side, their MSBU cost is about $355 per home or per unit. It has a lower utilization than VPSD. For VPSD, it's 74% of the calls are to residents. In the county, it's only 54%. And that's because there is a tremendous amount of additional businesses in Sumter County. So the businesses have to carry a bigger portion of it. Businesses are based on a square foot assessment, and it's divided into 4 categories. This one has a lot of contention. Why square footage and why the different rates? Well, when it boils down to it, it's not that much different than what VPSD is doing, because they're using an ERU, equivalent residential unit, which is just 1,700 and change in square feet. So it's based on square footage, and it's based on a rate based on the percentage of calls for that type of business from historically from VPSD. So it's really the same. It's just not broken down with the same granularity. Okay. Their MSTU, they're looking to raise about $1 million, but it's 0.29 mils, not instead of 0.027. So it's over 10 times as high. But remember, they've only got 14 or 15% of the properties as compared to VPSD. So again, same pie, you got to cut it into fewer pieces. Everybody gets to eat or pay for a bigger slice. Okay. So how does it affect you? So you're thinking, I live in the villages. It's not going to affect me, right? This is Sumter County. They got to pay the higher part. Don't call a plumber. Don't call a carpenter. Don't get a pool built. Don't go shopping outside of the villages, because you're going to pay the additional cost. If you have somebody come in and do any kind of work, and they have any kind of facilities outside of the villages, outside of the villages district, you get to help pay their higher rates. Businesses don't pay taxes. They don't pay impact fees. We're not talking about impact fees today. We can talk about that next week if you'd like. They just pass the costs on. It's a pass-through for them. Everybody gets to pay it. So, you go buy a new car. That car dealership's got to pay the fees, the fire assessment fee, the higher fire assessment fee. They're going to add it into the dealer cost. Now, that was probably a bad example, car dealers, because those guys find ways to add cost every which way you can think of. Anyway, it impacts the businesses. It impacts the residents. If the businesses have to raise their rates, if they lose business, okay, well, maybe they got to cut people's jobs. Okay. The other thing is, about 25% of our general fund budget comes from a small business tax or sales tax. So if they lose sales tax revenue, we all lose it from the general fund. And which means if the general fund isn't getting the money, they've got to compensate by raising the millage rate. So, we have to be very careful, very judicious in any time we start dealing with taxes, because once you start raising them, it's a vicious circle. You start losing businesses. That makes houses less attractive. That impacts property values negatively, negative property values, but same services, you got to raise the millage rate. It just goes round and round. So making sure that we don't get into that vicious circle, get it started, is important. So Sumter County, on Tuesday night, the Board of County Commissioners, after hearing everybody speak, they had a decision to make. They had 3 levels of service. Level 1 Basically, they would be cutting the response time, or excuse me, cutting the fire services. They would be staffing, or what do they call it, browning out some fire stations. The stations would be there, the equipment would be there, but they would be unstaffed because the firefighters would be used to help man other stations. I think they were going to shut down 2 or 3 stations and put those people on other trucks and ambulances. But they were going to maintain the ambulance service at 6 ambulances. That impacts homes. That impacts the fire ratings. What your insurance company uses to help judge your how much they're going to charge you for insurance. Which, here we go again. We don't want to talk about insurance. That's crazy. I really. Well, anyway, let's not talk about insurance. So your fire ratings, those have a negative impact. You get bad fire ratings, people don't want to live there. Property values go down. Again, it's a vicious circle. So that was level 1. Level 2 was keep everything the same as it is. It meant a slight increase. Okay. And then level 3 was to improve the fire service and improve the ambulance service. They went with level 3. That put a bigger burden on the residents. The difference in cost between level 1 and level 3 was about 15% higher. Doesn't sound like much. People in the villages are, as a general statement, are of a higher financial status. Everybody that moved here bought a house. It was a decision that they made based on their finances at the time. Maybe your financial situation has changed. Hey, that's not the point. I understand things change for people. The point is, you look at the property values. Typical home here in the villages is $450,000, $500,000. You go out to Lake Pan, you can buy lakefront property, a lakefront house, for $150,000, $200,000. That's crazy. That's crazy. My investment property that I bought, I paid $100,000 lot premium to be on a retention pond. And Lake Pan is a beautiful lake. I would much rather be on Lake Pan, but I live in the villages. That's the bottom line. So it is a which they chose level 3. I think that, in my opinion, that's not what I would have chosen. There had to be a compromise, and I think level 2 would have been a better choice. It would have saved the residents some money. It would have saved the businesses some money. Yes, they were going to pay more. It was inevitable. By bringing on a dozen new ambulances throughout the county, there is additional cost, and that cost has to be paid. And it's not somebody else who's going to pay for it. There was, an outcry. You got to find a better way. What's the better way? Somebody's got to pay it, and it's going to be the taxpayers. It's always going to be the taxpayers that have to pay. The residents demanded a higher level of service, and unfortunately, they got to pay for it. And unfortunately, also because of that frog sitting in that pot of water boiling, it was eye-opening to many of the residents. They don't want to say, I heard it all the time. Well, the villages gets all our money. No, the villages is pretty much carrying the load for Sumter County. Has been for many years now. And as it continues to grow, it will carry a bigger and bigger portion of that load until we can do things like Monarch Ranch, the property right there at the corner of the Turnpike and I-75. That's a huge industrial park. That's a huge tax benefit for the county, and that will be a great thing once it gets up and rolling. But anyway, so that's it in a nutshell. That's what's happened. They're moving forward with level 3 service, which is the highest level, going to improve service for fire and EMS. Not a bad thing, but just like when when we were all younger. You didn't buy that brand new Cadillac or whatever it was that was the hot car when you were younger. You bought an old beater because that's all you could afford, and I think that's where we need to start out with. So anyway, enough on that. Thanks for hearing me out. So let's go to your questions. So we answered Victoria's question about how Eastport Hotel is coming along. They haven't made a whole lot of progress, but they're working on it. Kim Brown says, when buying a designer home, does anyone know if they will add an extended bird cage without a pool as part of the build, or will this be added after? I don't know. You're going to have to talk to the sales agent that you're working with. I don't know all that they do anymore with customs. They used to do all kinds of crazy custom stuff. There's a house over on Evans Prairie in Lake Deaton that has got this big octagon gazebo bird cage. It's pretty amazing. It's at the end of a dead end, and I believe it's a premier home in that. So, they used to do a lot of things. They're not doing them so much anymore. It really made things difficult for the developer. So you're probably going to be better off just doing it as you want. You're going to be able to do more of what you want and not be limited by the village's developer so much if you do it yourself. Muskie says, everyone share this video on social media. Okay, great. Let's see. David says, I hear that if you quickly eat a large quantity of Darlin Zanzibar chocolate ice cream, it won't raise your glucose level. Thanks. Thanks, David. Just what I needed to know. So, Lisa says, how do you feel about lightning rods? I hear Florida is the lightning capital. Do you think you should look into them for your new house in Shady Brook? Thank you for all your hard work. So, the idea behind the lightning rod is to shunt the energy to ground as quickly as possible, and to take the least, the shortest route. The copper is a very low resistance conductor. Otherwise, it's going to use the moisture in the wood that's in the framing as its path for transmission of power or the electricity to the ground, and that's where the problem comes in. Is it a good idea? Yeah. If you're concerned about it being hit by lightning, then yes. What are your chances of getting hit by lightning? We live in the lightning capital of the United States, so it's a lot higher than other places. I will tell you this, though, that if you're wanting lightning rods to protect your electronic equipment, your computer, and that, forget it. If you take a lightning hit, assume you're going to lose all your electronics. There is nothing in the world, no surge suppressor in the world, will stop a direct hit from lightning. And if your neighbor takes a hit, you're probably going to be paying. You're going to get some of that energy also. Lightning is pretty nasty stuff. When I worked security jobs in construction, I had security directors say, "Oh, I want lightning protection on everything." I said, why? It's not going to do any good. Well, if my camera gets hit, I don't want it to be damaged. Your camera's going to be damaged. I always used to recommend just put fiber optic cable in. That way it doesn't come into your head-end unit. You're going to lose a camera, but that's it. Bubbles Playhouse. You got to wonder about some of these names. Anyway, let's see. You're looking good. Congrats. Thank you. I hear a rumor that they are getting rid of gate attendants. Rumors run rampant in this community. I think people are too bored with their own lives. And it's, I've not heard anything about getting rid of gate attendants. The gate attendants, they do a valuable service. They help with some of the busier gates in controlling the traffic. I think they could do better, but topic for a different broadcast. But they're also there for information purposes. If you look at the way they're laid out, there's generally one gate attendant per each area. One attended gate, I should say. So I live off of Hillsborough Trail. At the west end of Hillsborough Trail, there's a gate attendant. At the east end, there's not. But, thank you, Victoria. Once again, as always, you're so generous every week. I appreciate the donation. So I don't think they're going to get rid of the gate attendants. They serve a valuable purpose. Let's see, Gus asks, what is going on with the traffic light at Brazos Plaza in Lake Sumter Landing? It has been out for months. Honestly, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't even know where Brazos Plaza is. It's, if there's a light out, call district staff, although they should know. They know it's out because something like that, Community Watch should be reporting it also. So I have no idea what's going on. Retired message says loud and clear. Okay. Mark says, hi, Don. How come the villages pays for street maintenance in patio villa neighborhoods versus designer home neighborhoods? I noticed the design and the street drains placement on both are different. Okay. So in patio villas and courtyard villas, they have what's called an inverted crown. Where the street drains are in the middle of the road, and on the rest of the communities, the designer, cottage, and premier homes, it's a regular crown. It's higher in the middle. It's a cost savings. The county did not accept that as something they would maintain. So in the villages that have courtyard villas and patio villas, the CDD is responsible for that. In CDD 10, I think there's 17 or 18 patio and courtyard villa communities that are the responsibility of the CDD to maintain. So they do things like the rejuvenator. I think it's every 4 or 5 years, they put down rejuvenator. People complain about it because it's sticky and it's messy, but it really does preserve the roads. And about once every 20 years, they have to mill and overlay. I know that CDD 10, the board has been very proactive on building up their road reserves for when this happens. It looks like right now about $2.5 million are going to be needed. So there you go. Now, if you're in any of the Wildwood villages south of 44, so this is basically anything south of 44, if you're in one of those communities, those are maintained by the city of Wildwood, just like all the streets are maintained by the city of Wildwood. If you live in the unincorporated portions of the villages in Sumter County, those are maintained by the county, except for the courtyard and patio villas. Let's see. Hi from Phoenix, John and Jane. Well, hello back. Catherine says, hi, Don. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday. No questions today. Just checking to hear the latest updates. Love your commitment to sharing Village's content. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. Tom R. says, your channel discussion is interesting, but talking for 45 minutes about fire assessment is of interest to me for about 5 minutes. I apologize. It's a complicated subject, Tom, and not a lot of good information has been put out there, so I was just trying to help clear things up for people. Judy says, is there a completion date for CVS and Magnolia? Not that I've heard yet. Not that I've heard anything at all yet. What are they building between St. John's and Richmond? Between St. John's and Richmond. Maryland, let me think. Between St. John's and Richmond, I mean, they're right next to each other. There's nothing really between them other than Harry and the Natives. That's the only thing I know of. Mike wants to know any updates when boosters will open. I heard a rumor of September, but I have not, I haven't, I haven't been able to confirm it. So Victoria says, how tall are the side fences, walls, and back black wrought iron fences on a water view veranda lot? Thanks. So it's a 3-foot high fence if you've got the wrought iron. Otherwise, it's a 6-foot high wall. Sometimes it's a little higher. Job applications went up for boosters. That's good. And I've been asking Week because I want to serve there. Well, I hope you get a job. I mean, I will tell you, with the fluctuating population here in the villages between summer and winter, if you're working as a server, you're going to go through some lean months during, the time that the birds are gone, the seasonal residents are gone. But when they're here, usually pickings are pretty good. Let's see. Christy wants to know, can you address the service you offer as we are building a house in Shady Brook? Service, okay. And have heard you speak about hiring you to something. Okay, so the service I offer is basically 2 to 3 times a week. We go out, we take pictures inside and outside the house, do a fly around the house, and look at it for how it's being built, any problems, and if we find anything, we let you know. I got 20 years in the construction industry, most of the time as a project manager, so I've got a pretty good working knowledge on what they do. I've been watching these houses now. It is 5 years. Here in another week, it'll be 5 years that I've been in business doing this, and I've done about 200 homes. So that's the service. They get up, the pictures and videos get uploaded on a file share, normally the night after they're taken. So stuff that was shot today, was shot yesterday, was uploaded last night, and you got to see them right away, or you can get the email in the morning. I also do YouTube videos. So if you're moving here and you want to make your friends jealous, and hey, you can say, hey, look at the house I'm building. So I do YouTube videos. Norm says, we live in Hammock at Finney. Any updates on 301 close to changes and how close it will move to our village? What will the development be once built? More homes, more businesses? Thank you. Okay, so 301 is supposed to start sometime next year. I've been out of the loop, not been going to the MPO meeting, so I'm really not in the loop anymore. But it's scheduled to start again next year. It will go between, it will go down along the side of Hammock at Finney. It'll be 4 lanes. I don't know of any businesses that are planned along the route behind Hammock at Finney. I know that once it turns towards 525 East, which is the road that goes out to the Rick Scott Industrial Complex, there is a commercial development planned for that on the south end of Coleman Ridge. But, that's still a ways down the road. Ed Starr says, Don, moving to the villages in a little over a month, and I'm considering an enhanced membership for golf. Is it easier to get a tee time, a championship course versus an executive course in busy season? So the enhanced membership, you got to play a lot to make it worth your while. But if you do like to play, it does give you the priority membership does give you the advantage in getting a tee time. They take the priority members first, and then they do the non-priority tee times for what's left. So it does help with getting championship course reservations. And with the executive course, It doesn't have any impact. What does have a huge impact, though, is if you have a guest. If you have a guest, basically they fill all the reservations with that have no guests first, and then they go back to the ones with guests. So it is it has an impact on championship reservations, but not executive. Gregory says a Claremont Costco employee told me today they hope to open May of 2025. Half the hearing aids sold are to the villages. Hey, thank you, Peg. I appreciate the donations. May of 2025. So, unless he is in the construction and corporate, I wouldn't give too much credit to what any employee says at Costco. It's like asking the greeter at Walmart, hey, are they going to raise the gas prices at the pumps tomorrow? They don't know. They're not in the loop. Let's see. Todd and Cecile says, any idea how visible the lights from Coleman Ridge or from Coleman will be in Oak Hollow? Interesting question. I know that they've kept a line of trees, so that should help tremendously. The Coleman property is very treed. There's a line of tall trees along Marsh Bend Trail. So it'll help. Will it be visible? It's hard to say. Probably won't be any more annoying than a street light. Roxy said, sent an email question earlier today. Okay, we'll see if we can dig it up real quick. Let me open up my email. Holy mackerel, I got a bunch of emails. Here we go. We enjoy the activities and weather at the squares and with the squares live webcams. Why does Sawgrass Grove not have a live cam? Care to guess if Eastport will have it? I think Eastport will definitely have it. Christy, thank you very much for your donation also. Why doesn't Sawgrass Grove have one? That's an interesting question, because they do have the booth up above the bar. They could easily put a webcam up there. I don't know why they don't. I'll put a bug in some friends of mine's ears and see what can happen, because that would be nice to see. What would be really great is if we could get the audio also. So like when the bands are playing, if they pipe that into the live broadcast, hey, then maybe you can't make it there, but hey, Rocky is playing. They're great. Listen to them. It'd be great if we could hear them on on our computer or what have you, or on our phone. Let's see. Let's see. Lake County Libraries, Marion County Libraries have a reciprocal agreement. Why doesn't Sumter County Libraries have such an agreement with them? Who should I contact about this? I don't know why, but it is a private contractor that runs our libraries here in Sumter County, but there is a library advisory board that is made up of residents of Sumter County. You can find that listed on the county website, and you can contact them and ask that question. Randall says, Don, enjoy watching your videos. Thank you. Greg R. says, I've noticed new streets in the villages often don't show up in Google Maps for a while. Does this cause problems getting UPS, FedEx, etc. shipments when you buy new? Yes, it does. I'm monitoring closely the Moultrie Creek group. My wife is teaching some of the ladies and men down there how to play samba. And, so I watch the groups. And there have been some delivery issues. It normally finishes up pretty quickly. UPS, FedEx, their customer, not you, Amazon, is real insistent on getting the packages there. So it's in their best interest to work it out. And they generally work it out much quicker. Best I can tell you. Again, Peg, Christy, thank you very much for your donations. It all helps. Steve Cohen says Google Maps is slow. Bing Maps has future roads. Yep. There's also an open source map that you can go to, and it has even more, updated maps. That's what I use a lot of times to figure out where the heck I'm going. Let's see. Retired message says, we'll be moving to Shady Brook in November. Will I be near where you live? I live in the village of Hillsborough, which is up just north of Brownwood. I have another property over in I forgot the name. Anyway, I got a property over there. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. I just said it. I just said it. I'm losing my mind. Not enough coffee in me. That's all it is. Moultrie Creek. That's it. So I have an investment property over in Moultrie Creek. If I lose the election, this house will be up for sale in short order. If I don't lose the election, which let's keep our fingers crossed, then I have to maintain a residence in District 5. But remember, you can vote for all the county commissioners, not just the one for the district that you live in. So, Mike J says, hi, Don. We are looking to build in Shady Brook, and right now it's classified as a flood zone. How does it take FEMA to update their maps? I've been getting this one a lot, and I don't have a good answer on how to get FEMA to update. It's something I'm definitely going to look at, because that whole area down there was subject to flooding because it was just pasture land, low pasture land. Well, the villages have built up a lot of areas. There's the house next door to me and the house next door to them are in a Class AE flood zone, and some of the other houses around my new house are in Class A flood zone, which is basically a 100-year flood zone. But the house I bought is not. And it's crazy. And it's all kinds of weird patterns. When you look at the county map, you can see it. I don't know. I don't know how to get them to update. It sure would be good, though, if they do. But FEMA, hey, they're from the government. They're here to help, right? Jim O says Moultrie Creek. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, if I finally caught it. Let's see. Angel Eyes 222 says, hi, any updates on what subdivision is likely to open next? Yes, that's real easy. It is going to be Well Point, the first unit of homes there. I haven't had a chance to fly it yet. I'll probably be flying it tomorrow. But the first unit is some cottage homes. Looks like they're going to be cottage villas with fenced-in yards. Those are nearing completion. I think the limiting factor, though, is going to be the postal station, because it's not ready yet. The pool isn't ready, the recreation area. And, you sell a house, you kind of want the post office to be ready. Shady Brook's post office was ready before they sold the first house. But yeah. So Well Point will be next after that. It's hard to say, but it looks like Water's Edge will be the next one, which is the village just to the east of Shady Brook. So there you go. Let's see. Flood zones. Villages submits updates to FEMA as they improve, but the maps aren't updated often. FEMA doesn't publish a memo with a new determination. Well, FEMA does publish a memo with a new determination. You can find reference for insurance, etc. Yeah, but again, it's FEMA. It's the government. They are slow. Federal government. Anyway, any more questions, folks? Oh, Roxy says, haven't seen an update on the restaurant at Edna's. How's it coming along? It's open. The new restaurant or the new kitchen, if you will, at Edna's is open. I thought about going over there this week and getting some lunch because I have not had a chance to try it. I heard it's the same food. They're just not. They're not cooking the staff in the trailers anymore. They've got it air conditioned. It's a lot more pleasant for the staff working there. So Richard D says, any idea what the new housing area south of Brownwood will be called? Richmond East, Wiley Villas. Funny. No, it's I believe it is going to be just part of Richmond. They've got the sign up. They just haven't put they've got the sign structure up, but they haven't put the name on it yet. But that should be coming soon. They're just going like crazy. That's on my agenda to fly tomorrow morning to see how that's going. It is moving really quick, though. Speaking of library, who built the one at the north end of the villages, and any word on any more down south? One at the north end of the villages. I'm assuming you're talking about the one on 466. I think Villages built that, but I can't be 100% sure. That predates my time here. I've only been here 10 years, and that goes back to turn of the century. Yeah, right around the turn of the century. That sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? Maybe we're just getting old. Any updates on new grocery stores in Middleton or Eastport? We're hungry down here in the Moultrie Creek. Laugh out loud. Okay, so Kim, I will tell you that I flew Middleton this morning. I flew Middleton and Eastport this morning, and it was what I can see in Middleton is the stub-ups for the drainage in the area where the grocery store is supposed to be going. So, that's a positive note. Middleton is going like crazy. They've taken down a lot of the construction fences. There's just now, road closed signs on Middleton Boulevard or Middleton Road or whatever the name of it is, going right down the center from the high school, down to the bank. I heard a rumor of, about the same time as the school year opens, things would start opening up. I don't see that happening because we're only a couple of weeks from having the schools open, and they're a long way away. I mean, there's no businesses close to being opened. The only one that is opened is Citizens First Bank. Gotta have a place for the money, right? Anyway, so anybody else got any questions? My sponsors, their ads are popping up at the bottom of the screen. If you have a need for any of them, I highly recommend. And be sure you tell them that you saw it on my broadcast. That encourages them to keep advertising with me. Since I've been doing these, I don't make a whole lot. Okay, doing them, I just do it to try to offset the cost. Part of the cost is buying new equipment. I'm looking at going away. These are just simple, basic webcams that I'm using right now. I can show you this one if I can get. See, it's just a simple Logitech webcam, and I'm not real fond of the quality of picture, anyway. So, there's not a whole lot. So, Cecilia, update on the puppies. 2 weeks ago, the last of them went home. They are all doing great. We've gotten pictures from most of them. I will try and put something together for the next broadcast when I ask for updated pictures from all the owners. They're gorgeous. 2 of them are up in New York. just being loved to death. Another one has lucky, is very lucky. There are 6 kids in that house. Carolyn Bean, who was the midwife who helped with the delivery of the puppies, that was our gift to her, and she gave it to her grandchildren, and they were really excited. Chico, who used to be Justice, he is absolutely gorgeous. They all adjusting well. Thor, he's got 2 teenage boys that he is training, and he's doing well. So they are all doing great. Is BurgerFi opening? And they say they are, but I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any progress on BurgerFi other than in the newspaper what they say, and that's not much. Kyle Reed says you really need to win the election because without a lifeguard, people will drown. You are the village's lifeguard. Thank you Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I try. I really do try. I was brought up in a military family where service was stressed. My dad served our country. It was the example that I lived by. I served my country, and I still continue to serve my community. Sharon Lee says, is it necessary to get a filter system on your house for drinking water? It does taste better. I put in a Nova filter in my investment property, and when I'm down there working, doing various things, the water does taste better than it does here. I don't have it in my current house, and I'm thinking about rectifying that. Do any of your sponsors, so Judy wants to know, do any of your sponsors offer whole, I'm assuming it's whole house surge protectors because I've never heard of a whole health. There it is, whole house. Not that I know of. No, not that I know of. There are some folks that are doing it. Again, I know enough about the technology to know that if you take a lightning strike nearby within like 2 houses, you're going to lose stuff. If you've got valuable stuff, a good surge suppressor on a power strip does work. It does help. Any sponsors regarding landscaping? I don't have any yet. I am trying to get one. He did my neighbors. I've watched this company work for several years now. They always do good work. I've never heard a bad thing about them online. So I am working to try and get them on as a sponsor. I got another new sponsor that'll be premiering in the next video. It's a food delivery service, and it looks pretty interesting. They're delivering my wife and I a meal tomorrow. We're going to get a chance to sample their product. But anyway, it is 10 after 4. We've been at this about an hour. I apologize if I got long-winded on the assessment. That it is an important topic, and it does affect all of us here in the villages and in Sumter County, outside of the villages, just like taxes do. Tax and spend is not a good avenue. So, sorry, I was looking at the email that popped up on the other monitor. I have 4 monitors in front of me. I'm a geek, I know. But hey. Anyway, let's go ahead and call it a day. Again, life is short. We're all in the fourth quarter of the game, living here in the villages. So play like there's no tomorrow, because there very well could be no tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow brings. But enjoy life while you can. And we'll talk next week. Next week, 146 will be coming out. Oh, excuse me, no. Number 147 will be coming out. you know what? If you stick around, I'm going to try and queue up some footage that I shot this morning over at Eastport. And we'll see what we can do to get that. Let me see if I can pull it up here on QuickTime Player. All right. Gotta find the video. Where'd I put it? There it is. All right. Now let's see if I can capture it. Application is, I know it's on here. Oh, I gotta refresh. I opened that wrong. Yeah. There it is, QuickTime Player. All right, here we go. We'll change the screen, and I hope you all enjoy this. Again, this is an unedited version of what's going to be put into video 147. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next week.